Hello, I am a guitar troll, and this is my story.
I'm telling you now, there are more guitar heroes than ever.
Hey all, welcome to Circle of Tone, and welcome to another episode of the Vanilla Sausage Podcast, where I give my opinion on things, usually in the guitar world, but I've been marinating on this one for months. It's been niggling at me. There were some articles going around claiming that trolls are ruining the guitar in comment section on Facebook and on YouTube, things like that. The piece that really irked me was from Ultimate Guitar. And Ultimate Guitar kind of should know better, but the level of research that they didn't do on this subject, it's so one-sided that I just have to actually give the voice of the guitar troll that he's basing his argument against. And he even says in his article, I would love to hear from these trolls. What do you mean you would love to hear from these trolls? How about you would actually do some research in the beginning and maybe check your own facts about people like me and what I bring to the argument? So in a nutshell, his claim, not even mean-spirited comments, just negative comments about the scene, the state of guitar, and where it's going, is a detriment to people playing guitar and giving up playing guitar. And he cites as one of the main videos in his favor, he actually cites Rob Chapman video where guitar isn't dead, where he claimed that it's better than ever, there's more guitar heroes than ever compared to Prince, Queen, Rolling Stones, the Beatles, the Who. So that now apparently it's better than ever, according to Chappers, and there's more guitarists coming out every year. And I disagree with that. And apparently that makes me a troll. What irks me about this is this gold star for everyone approach is such a detriment to rock and roll. It really is. Rock and roll was attitude and opinion and sticking it to everybody, not just the man. And heavy metal's the same thing. There's codes within heavy metal. We hit the shit out of each other in the mosh pits. It's like, is that please no bully, So much like Chapman, this article did not mention anybody of note that could prove trolls like me wrong when it comes to the relative death of rock and metal. I think I don't even have to argue about it. We all know, right? We all know that the days of Prince and the Beatles and just rock being everywhere is not trending anymore. It's EDM and rap, and you'll see guitars in country. Maybe now and then you'll see Ed Sheeran with an acoustic every now and then, but that's about as deep as it gets. Just to prove my point, I'm going to prove that he has done no research, because this was the news the same week the article was written. Now let's see how many amazing new guitarists are being mentioned in Ultimate Guitar, okay? First news, top 20 Iron Maiden songs of all time. Grandfathers. The response, are trolls killing the electric guitar? That was in the news as well. Pandemic news. Bon Jovi, how old is he now? What else do we have? 68-year-old Whitesnake frontman says retirement at age 69 would be appropriate for him. 69, that's pretty funny. Whitesnake, okay. Where are these? Chapman told us there's more guitarists than ever, so why am I talking about grandfathers? Mark Tremonti, older than me. Chris Cornell, who's dead, rest in peace, Jesus Christ. Mike Portnoy, old. Steve Vai, old. These, I haven't skipped anything. These are the news, right? And it's the same old thing. Like, if he'd done his research and looked at my Anthony Fantano Rock is Dead video, okay? If he'd actually done any research about trolls, he would have saw me talking about why is it that these grandfathers and Clapton great-grandfathers are propping up these huge guitar festivals or metal or rock festivals. You won't find whatever people that they have in their pictures representing the new school, they're not going to be headlining these massive festivals. They can barely get 1,000 people into their own headlining shows versus 1.5 million who went to see Metallica once upon a time. Well, this is a crowd for a headlining gig back in the day. What young 20-something is generating that much interest? But if I bring that up, I'm a troll. How about this? How about we talk about being nicey in the comments, okay? So let's talk about people being nice. Okay, here's Tony Iommi on Ozzy Osbourne. I doubt very much Ozzy could carry a tune, even if you handed him a radio in a suitcase and gave it to him in his hand. So let's talk about Liam Gallagher. I'd like to fucking hang Robbie Williams on stage. What's he done to me this time? Nothing. He's just somebody I'd like to hang. On Keith Richards and George Harrison, they're jealous and senile and not getting enough meat pies. Liam on Wrinkly Rockers. If I lost my hair, you would never see me on that stage again, because there's no place for baldness in rock and roll. Liam Gallagher on Billy Joe Armstrong. Fuck right off. I'm not having him. I just don't like his head. Liam on Bono. You see pictures of Bono running around LA with his little white legs and a bottle of Volvic. He looks like a fanny. This is funny. So the past, when rock was relevant, the biggest stars always had feuds against each other. Name a band, and there are, within internal bands, there's fights with each other. There's always been attitude, there's always been chops in, there's always been jealousy, there's always been a bit of that, youthful rage. Where is that now? What's happened now? Can you remember, old people, can you remember magazines, like guitar magazines, when they were relevant? And everything was 9 or 8 out of 10. Can you remember the readers' letters sections and how bloody vanilla and boring they were? That's what the guitar scene is now. It's all online, it's all on forums, it's all on Facebook groups and the rest of it. And everyone's being generally all nicey to their friends who are bringing out albums which are copying other bands, and they don't have the balls to say, hey, maybe if you're in a progressive band, maybe not use a Strymon on every clean tone like everybody else, so you sound like everybody, you know what I mean? I sometimes worry that I'm too progressive, because nobody's ever heard anything like this in progressive metal and Djent. I made a mistake. It still sounds fucking good. Guess it's going to cover up my shit clean tone and nobody will know. It's even out of tune. Maybe not use a vintage 30 and SM57 like the forums told you, like a robot, and then you go down the path and then you have ET Drummer 2 and then you turn into each other. Destroy the scene, destroy the scene. Yeah. So yeah, if I'm a fucking troll, good. Vanilla sausages like these guys, they're claiming it's not good for anybody. There needs to be more people like me just saying, look, maybe this is a failed model. Maybe you doing it yourself, a DIY, with no interaction is a failed model. Nobody's saying that. They're all saying, it's the way that we do it now. But the way that we do it now, you used to have about a few thousand bands who had access to recording back in the 70s, 80s, and 60s. Now there's literally millions of musicians have access to recording. So where is all this mind-blowing music? I suggest you nice guys who write these pieces, I suggest you go and watch my video on what a troll claims is happening to the music scene. It's my response video to Anthony Fantano. I'll leave it in the top comment. Watch that first before you say, oh, guitar is better than ever, before you start telling me bands that couldn't fill a club, let alone a stadium, all right? Even in the past, like you would have rock radio personalities going out and crushing disco records with steamrollers, just drumming up a little bit of aggro. You're being mean to the disco people. Oh no, being mean. Oh, Jesus Christ, are we men or what? I mean, even like golden gods like Dio used to have beef with people like Vivian Campbell. It was never always plain sailing. Vince Neil threatened Axl to a fight. And also, how about he checks the actual comments? I don't think he looked at the comments of Chapman's video, the recent comments, before he actually linked that as his saving grace for why guitar isn't dead, and why it's good to be a positive. The comments are almost overwhelmingly disagreeing with him. The most recent ones, it's because it hasn't aged well. It's got even worse since. The style of guitar is waning. We have to say something and do something different to push it back on course. You think the Beatles got along and they all shook each other's hands when they got in the practice space? They were trying to one-up each other. They were having fights and throwing teacups and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, guitar is dying, and being nicey about it in the comments is the last thing you want. Truth. You want some truth to tell you that you sound like another black metal clone with your heavy metal 2 pedal. You're trying to be Matt Pike. You're trying to be Dream Theater. You know what I mean? All these clones are becoming each other. Got that off my chest. All right, chaps. And thanks to my patrons of Tone. We've got Richard P. and Co. Nobody signed up recently, but we're trying to get to that 100 so I can cut my damn strings. So I made a stupid promise that when I get 100 patrons, I'll cut my strings because they're annoying people when I was playing and flapping them around. That backfired 2 years later. So that's it. So what do you think? I mean, prove me wrong in the comments. All I ask before you start going, oh, what about some band that only brings in a few hundred people? Who is the modern day young teenage 20-something Iron Maiden? The equivalent today. Who's the young Metallica? Who's the young Guns N' Roses? Who's the young Queen of today? I'm not even going to say the Beatles because that's asking way too much. Because it's songwriting that's really dragged down. Now guitarists are trying to blow you away with the tone, trying to be as stylistic as possible. Like stylistic, I mean, they're doom, or they're stylish and they're going to sound like everybody else in the doom scene, or they're black metal and they're going to sound, anguished vocals over trem picking, or they're stylistic. They're not thinking hooks, choruses, sing-along choruses you can wave your beer to, and the song is the last thing. It's always about production. It's always about style, and it's always about how can I blow you away with my brutality or my technicality, or both, And it's been done. The ceiling's been reached by the 90s when it comes to technical proficiency and brutality. The ceiling's been reached, unless you cheat. And if you're going to cheat, cheat. Just go gonzo, but still have something memorable. All right, that's it, chaps. Have a good one. Circle of Tone.